Welcome back to another episode of Sports-Fixx. I am your host, Carson Becker. We are back talking about another episode of Sports-Fixx here, back talking about college football. It's only 39 days away here, and, well, I can't wait for that. So, each leading up to the season, I'm going to be releasing a video talking about each conference, starting with this video with the ACC, who I think is going to win the ACC, who I think should compete in the ACC, and what teams could surprise me in each conference there. So I'm going to do that for each conference leading up to the season as we get closer and closer to college football. So for this episode, I'm going to start with the ACC here, and a lot to talk about the ACC. So last year, the ACC was not great. We saw Duke versus UVA in the ACC championship, a five-loss Duke team there, UVA team that was pretty good, but still maybe not living up to the ACC championship standards. We saw a Miami team fall short, Clemson team that was not very good. Florida State hasn't been very good lately. So looking at a ACC conference that seems very open, other than the fact that Miami should absolutely win the conference here. So, looking at that here, we'll go to the odds of each team to win the conference here, and it will be a ACC champion here. Miami is leading at minus 136, SMU plus 700 there, Louisville plus 800, Clemson plus 1400. So looking at a conference that seems to be is it Miami's to lose? Is the ACC conference Miami's to lose? At this point, you're looking at a team that's minus odds, which you don't see a lot in conference standings leading into the preseason. You don't see that until maybe the end of the season. So you're looking at a team that should very well win the conference with their schedule and with everything going on in the ACC, right? So Miami, obviously, big question of Miami. Can they go and win the ACC championship? They've been in the ACC since 2004. They got blown out in the ACC championship in 2017. That was the only time they made the ACC championship. It was 38-3. So I got to say, it's a big question. Can they go and win the championship? When they should, right here this year, they should absolutely win the ACC championship without a doubt. It should not be much of a question if they can win the ACC championship. They don't have a tough schedule. They don't play a lot of good teams in the ACC. The ACC has been struggling for a while now. They have Malachi Tony, who was a talented freshman last year. They have Darian Mensah, who transferred from Duke, who led that team to an ACC championship. So you got all the weapons. You got the teams. You got a schedule that's not going to be very hard playing in the ACC. You play two teams that were above 500 in ACC play last year. That would be Pitt and Duke. Those are the only two teams that were above 500 in ACC play last year that Miami plays this year on their schedule. So it's very easy to see that this team should very well be in the ACC championship and play for the ACC championship, right? It's not that they don't have the talent. They do. They absolutely have the talent, and they have everything they need to go and win the ACC championship. As I will be pulling up the schedule here for Miami, and it's not very tough. Stanford at Stanford, Florida A&M. Obviously, it's not an ACC game. Wake Forest, not a tough game. At Clemson, I think Clemson should be a lot better this year, so that might be a tougher game than some people think. But I think Miami still beats them. That's maybe the one loss I have on Miami's schedule here. Florida State should beat that team. Pitt, that might be a tough game. They should pull that one out at home. North Carolina, they should beat. Bill Belichick is not doing North Carolina any favors down there in Chapel Hill. At Notre Dame, that's a tough game. I could see them losing to Notre Dame there. That's a tough game, but that's not an ACC game. So they still maybe have one loss to a Clemson team in the ACC, maybe two losses overall. That's a playoff team. That's a team that's fighting for a national championship there. You play Duke, who you should beat, Virginia Tech, who you should beat, and Boston College, who you should beat. So all these teams are teams that they should beat for the most part. There's a couple games. I'll give you Clemson maybe, depending on how Clemson's playing. That's maybe a game you can lose, maybe. If Clemson's playing how they were last year, it's absolutely not a game you can lose, and you should blow them out. And then I'll give you Notre Dame for a loss, but that's not an ACC loss, so that still makes them okay in the ACC. So only two teams above 500. That's that Pitt team and Duke team, and Duke no longer has Darian Mensah. So, and if you remember what you saw, they do not have very good odds to win the ACC or play for an ACC championship. So, you're really looking at Pitt as a team that was above 500 in ACC play. So, it goes back to the question, is the ACC Miami's to lose? I think it is. I think Miami should absolutely win the ACC without a doubt. It shouldn't be too hard for them either. So I know it's tough to go and win every game and everything like that, but they should be able to do it. So I look at them as a heavy favorite to win the ACC here, and it shouldn't be much of a question for them. Now you got SMU on the other side of things. You got SMU with the second best odds to win the ACC championship here, as I bring back up the odds so you can see them once again. And it's SMU at plus 700. It's Louisville at plus 800. I don't know if Louisville is a good enough team to go and win a ACC championship. I don't know if they're good enough to go and play for an ACC championship, but they very well could. They're a very good team. They've been a very good team for the last couple years there, so that could be a good team. SMU, they've been very good since joining the ACC. Went 8-0 in conference play the first year and lost to that Clemson team, and then last year went 6-2, and they beat that Clemson team as well. They have Kevin Jennings back for this season, so they should be a pretty good team as well. I see SMU being a very good team. They do play at Florida State, at Louisville, a UVA team, so they play some good teams as well. But I think it goes back to, can they go and beat Miami? That would be their second time playing if they put in the ACC championship as well. So that would be tough for SMU to win. Louisville went 8-4 last year, was 4-4 in conference play. They did not have a very good season in conference play last year. It will be tough for them to go and have a good season in conference play as well. They did go and beat that Miami team in Coral Gables last year, so Mario Cristobal is looking for a little revenge there if they go and play Louisville. So we'll see what happens there, but I don't see Louisville playing for an ACC championship. It really comes down to SMU, and then if Clemson's playing well, I think Clemson gets there. But it all depends on if Clemson's playing well. And Dabo Swinney, he's been talking about how people are underestimating him, not starting the season ranked, all this stuff. I mean, Dabo, can you blame him? After the season you had, you went 7-5, 7-6, including your bowl game where you lost to a Penn State team that wasn't great most of the year. I mean, I don't think you can blame them. You lost 4 ACC games, first time since 2023. Other than that, you hadn't lost 4 ACC games before, other than those 2 times now. I mean, I think it's time. It's time to talk about if you're the guy. I think you could be on the hot seat this year. I know everybody loves you down in Clemson, but you could potentially be on the hot seat if you have another bad season like last year. Now, I don't see it happening, but I think if it does happen, you could be in some trouble there. So we'll see what happens there. That's what I have here. I think Virginia Tech is potentially a team to go and make a run in the ACC. Pitt also at plus 1,700 odds. They could maybe make a run. They've been pretty good, but Virginia Tech, James Franklin should change that team around, at least from what they have been doing the last couple of years. It has been rough for Virginia Tech fans there in Blacksburg, and I think this James Franklin should be the change that they need. Bringing in a bunch of transfers as well this year. I just don't know if they can do it this year. They do have to go and play that Miami team in the regular season, and they do have a pretty tough schedule. But I think with James Franklin, they don't lose as many of those kind of bad games that they really shouldn't lose, teams they just shouldn't really lose to. So that is what I have for the ACC. I think it's Miami's to lose, and I think it comes down to, can Miami go and win the ACC championship and go compete for a national championship at the end of the day. If you liked this video, like and subscribe. and hit the notification bell if you like these videos. If you want to see more of these videos, I'll be doing them leading all the way up to the season. Each conference, Big Ten, SEC, the MAC, all the conferences there, I will be doing them all. So we will see you in the next video. That's all I have for this video. I am Carson Becker, and I will see you next time.